Welcome back to Mighty Build. Watch a craftsman transform a simple sheet of cardboard into the legendary Black Pearl. Every piece is carefully shaped, every detail earned. This is patience, precision, and cardboard craftsmanship at its finest. Our journey starts with a simple flat sheet of cardboard and a ruler. The craftsman carefully traces the initial blueprint, outlining the curved profile of the ship. Using a sharp utility knife, the main structural spine is carved out with precision. Next, careful measurements are marked along the surface to create precise notches. These small cuts are essential, as they will hold the entire framework together. Once the base pieces are ready, the assembly begins. The craftsman slides curved rib sections into the pre-cut slots along the central spine. Piece by piece, the flat materials transform into a three-dimensional skeletal frame. The distinct shape of the hull is now clearly visible. With the foundation secured, the next step is applying thin, flexible strips along the ribs. These long bands are carefully glued into place, wrapping around the curved edges of the skeleton. Slowly, the outer gaps are covered, giving the base foundation its solid structural shell. The foundation now firmly established, the craftsman continues shaping the hull by attaching precise, thin strips of material along the curved surface. These layers define the vessel's iconic silhouette, piece by piece. To create a solid and textured exterior, a layer of thin paper is draped over the hull. The craftsman carefully brushes a liquid adhesive across the surface, ensuring the paper adheres smoothly while forming a rough, organic texture that resembles weathered wood. Attention then shifts to the ship's intricate side panels. A dark stain is applied to flat sections of cardboard. Once the stain is spread evenly, the craftsman meticulously cuts out small, precise square openings. These will serve as the ship's gun ports. Dark, stained strips of material are then carefully aligned and glued across the newly cut panels. The craftsman measures and trims the excess, creating a layered, planked appearance that mimics the sturdy construction of a true galleon. The focus returns to the main hull's side structures. The craftsman attaches a series of vertical cardboard dividers along a curved base piece, creating a sturdy internal support frame. The detailed planked side panels are then securely glued onto the exterior of this ribbed frame. The ship's robust sides are now taking form, complete with the carefully positioned gun ports. The craftsman securely attaches the detailed planked side panels to the exterior of the ribbed frame. The ship's robust sides are now taking form, complete with the carefully positioned gun ports. With the main side panels secured, additional strips are glued along the exposed edges to reinforce the structure and complete the planking. The craftsman then cuts away the excess material from the paper-textured hull, revealing the final shape. Inside the hull, small dark rectangular boxes are glued behind the gun ports, adding depth to the structure. Finally, a textured stained deck panel is carefully lowered and secured into the top of the vessel, completing this crucial phase of the build. With the main deck securely in place, the focus gracefully shifts to the back of the vessel. The craftsman carefully cuts and fits thin strips to form the detailed framework for the stern cabins. Every piece is meticulously measured and trimmed with a sharp blade to guarantee a flawless fit. Moving inside the hull, small black components are firmly secured into the lower compartments using hot glue. Once these hidden details are set, flat panel sections are laid down to cover the internal structure, progressively building up the elevated deck levels. Thin, delicate borders are attached around the square deck openings to refine the raw edges. The high side walls of the rear section are glued into position, giving the ship its classic towering profile. To finish the upper edges, long wooden strips are wrapped along the borders and carefully sanded smooth. A small brush is then used to apply a rich, dark stain over these fresh additions. The liquid color sweeps smoothly across the borders, blending the light materials perfectly into the ship's shadowy, weathered, and iconic wooden exterior aesthetic. Our focus now moves directly to the stern as the craftsman constructs the iconic rear galleries. Using precisely cut light panels, a tiered structural extension is meticulously added to the back of the vessel. These pieces are layered and secured with glue, forming the foundational overhanging balconies that give the ship its distinctive, towering historical profile. A sharp blade is then used to trim the edges, ensuring a completely seamless alignment with the dark hull. Moving along the upper external edges of the ship, the craftsman begins applying delicate, continuous trim. Tiny, perfectly measured wooden segments are individually glued into the pre-cut square slots along the top railing. This painstaking, repetitive process adds necessary depth and visual complexity to the ship's defensive bulwarks, reinforcing the sturdy, layered aesthetic of the outer shell. The stern then receives further refinement with the careful installation of ornate window frames. The craftsman strategically glues these detailed, grid-like wooden structures onto the rear cabin balconies. These small but crucial architectural additions beautifully transform the flat panels into elegant captain's quarters. At the front of the ship, a thick, curved wooden piece is shaped and sanded completely smooth. This solid block forms the bow stem, the prominent leading edge of the vessel. After securing it to the hull, the craftsman brushes a thick layer of dark stain over the raw wood, swiftly wiping away the excess with a cloth to perfectly match the weathered, organic appearance of the side planking. A long, cylindrical wooden mast, known as the bowsprit, is inserted through the front deck. Directly below it, the craftsman carefully mounts the ship's crowning artistic detail. To integrate this piece naturally, thin, flexible wooden strips are delicately bent and glued into place, forming the curved headrails. These elegant, sweeping lines seamlessly connect the figurehead to the main hull, locking the magnificent sculptural elements together to finalize this intricate phase. With the exterior beautifully detailed, the focus shifts back to the upper deck. The craftsman glues several small, square wooden pegs along the raised edges of the bow and stern. These tiny pillars serve as the foundation for the ship's railings. A long, thin strip of wood is then carefully placed and glued over these pegs, creating a sturdy and elegant handrail that borders the elevated deck sections. This intricate process is repeated along the main lower deck. The craftsman precisely glues down a long line of tiny wooden pegs, ensuring each one is evenly spaced. Once secured, another continuous handrail is attached, completing the safety barriers along the ship's midsection and adding another layer of historical authenticity. The deck then begins to fill with functional details. The craftsman carefully positions small wooden staircases, connecting the different deck levels. At the center of the ship, a complex star-shaped capstan is securely glued into place. This is followed by a grated hatch cover, adding texture to the deck floor. Finally, the ship's navigational center is established as the steering wheel is carefully mounted, and a bell structure is positioned behind the mast, bringing life to the vessel's command center. The craftsman begins by wrapping strong black thread tightly around the forward bowsprit. Each knot is securely fastened with a drop of glue, and the excess string is trimmed away. To protect the delicate figurehead, white masking tape is wrapped around it before a targeted coat of spray paint is applied to the front structure. Once the tape is peeled away, a dark stain is meticulously painted onto the curved bow rails. Moving across the ship, a lighter wooden stain is brushed over the intricate deck features, enhancing the railings, capstan, and stairs. Next, the ship's armaments are prepared. The craftsman lightly sands small, detailed cannons and positions them in a row across the upper deck. Additional cannon barrels are then inserted directly into the open gun ports along the lower wooden hull, fully equipping the dark vessel. The structural focus then shifts upward to the tall masts. The craftsman slides circular wooden platforms down each vertical pole, gluing them firmly into position. At the stern, 3 ornate lanterns are carefully mounted to the rear railing. Finally, the horizontal yards are attached. Using black thread, the craftsman ties these wooden crossbeams to the vertical masts, knotting them tightly and trimming the loose ends to establish the essential rigging framework. The craftsman continues the structural work by attaching small wooden platforms along the outer edges of the wooden hull. Using a compact power drill, precise holes are carefully pierced through each block to prepare them for the heavy rigging lines. A rich, dark stain is then smoothly brushed over these new additions, as well as the towering vertical masts and horizontal yards, ensuring every single wooden surface perfectly matches the vessel's dark, weathered aesthetic. With the wood fully prepared, the highly intricate process of technical rigging begins. The craftsman attaches sections of woven black netting to the sides of the ship, securing them tightly to the freshly drilled platforms and extending them high toward the mast platforms. This complex network of black thread forms the essential shrouds, providing crucial structural stability. Countless individual knots are meticulously tied by hand, pulled taut, and carefully trimmed, locking the wooden masts firmly to the solid hull below. The intricate web of rigging is carefully expanded across the entire length of the ship. The craftsman precisely strings continuous black threads between the forward, main, and rear masts, weaving a vital line of tension that connects the separate pillars into one unified, rigid structure. Every line is pulled tight and secured with exact precision, finalizing the extensive rope work just before the very first rolled black sail makes its appearance. The ship receives its most famous feature. The craftsman takes a rectangular piece of black fabric to form the first sail. Using a simple needle and white thread, he carefully stitches the top edge of the dark cloth directly to the horizontal wooden yard. He loops the thread over the wood and through the fabric, pulling it tight and tying small knots to hold it firmly in place. This steady, repetitive process securely fastens the heavy sail to the mast structure. With the first sail secured, the craftsman moves up and across the remaining masts, repeating this exact technique. More black rectangular fabrics are stitched to the higher wooden crossbeams. The dark sails begin to drape down over the deck, instantly transforming the bare wooden skeleton into a fully recognizable galleon. The craftsman makes sure each piece of cloth is centered and tied tightly, so it hangs perfectly straight down. The craftsman selects a sharp, triangular piece of black cloth for this area. Instead of a horizontal beam, this sail is tied directly to the angled rigging lines connecting the front mast to the long bowsprit. He carefully threads the needle through the corners of the fabric, securing them to the tight ropes. A small tool is used to cleanly clip away the excess string. Finally, sail is added to the very front. The craftsman meticulously ties the lowest corner of this black fabric straight to the wooden bowsprit, wrapping the thread around the pole and knotting it securely. The upper edges are stitched firmly to the diagonal ropes. As the last loose threads are trimmed away, the ship's iconic dark sails are completely rigged and ready, adding a striking visual contrast to the stained wooden hull. The craftsman meticulously completes the final complex knots on the forward rigging lines, carefully snipping away any loose threads with a sharp hand cutter to maintain a clean appearance. Attention then smoothly moves to the main upper deck, where a miniature, beautifully crafted wooden rowboat is gently lowered into the open center compartment. It is precisely positioned over the grated hatch and secured into place with a drop of adhesive, adding a highly authentic, vital touch of life to the grand vessel. The intricate rope work continues seamlessly along the outer hull. The craftsman systematically threads long black lines through the lower side blocks, pulling them tightly to simulate the heavy tension of traditional maritime lanyards. Next, the lower corners of each dark square sail are carefully anchored directly to the wooden railings. By tying these lines tightly and trimming the excess thread, the sails are pulled into their classic billowing shape, looking as if they are forever catching a strong, driving ocean breeze. Nearing the final touches, a compact power drill is used to create a precise mounting point near the bow. A detailed metallic anchor, complete with a wrapped coiled rope, is glued securely to the wooden hull. At the stern, the final ornate wooden grills are pressed firmly into place over the rear cabin windows. A small brush is then swept over the deck barrels and rigging, applying a finishing layer of dark stain to perfectly unify the entire weathered historical structure. Now, the legendary Black Pearl stands entirely complete. Every part of this magnificent galleon shows incredible detail, from the towering black sails and intricate rigging, to the powerful cannons and beautifully crafted stern galleries. It is truly an amazing display of patience, passion, and creativity. Huge respect to the talented craftsman Alan for bringing this masterpiece to life with such dedication and vision. Make sure to visit and watch his channel, Alan Gomez Craft, to enjoy more of his amazing creative works. Subscribe